Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Dan Cardellichio. Want to welcome you to another segment of Momentum Monday. We've been away for a couple of weeks because sometimes you need a little self-care as an entrepreneur to do that. I am here with my partner in crime, America's leadership expert, attorney Jenn Garrett. Jenn, how are you today?
Hey, good morning, Dr. Dan. I'm fantastic. It's another Monday. I've got some energy and coffee with me, so I'm ready to go.
Yes,
Ready?
we were just talking for a few minutes before we went on the air today, and I noticed that you were just sucking that coffee right on down. So for those of you who don't know, attorney Jenn is the author of Move the Ball, and it's a fabulous book. Get your copy today. I have an autographed copy from Jenn, so I'm special, and I feel special each Monday when we speak because we hit upon some great topics. Now, what are we going to talk about today, Jenn? What's on your mind?
Yeah, so I think today, especially since we've been away for a little bit, it's a great time to talk about staying focused as an entrepreneur, or even just whether you're an entrepreneur or not. Sometimes it's easy to lose that focus, especially in today's technology era where You've got so many distractions at your fingertips, on your phone, on your computer, your TV. There's so many things that are taking you away or trying to take you away from the things that you want to do.
You know what? This is a great topic, and it's extremely important because, again, whether you're an entrepreneur or if you're a staying-at-home parent, there's so much that's going on. There's so many distractions that you can have, and you can be so busy in life too. Now, you and I, over the last couple of weeks, we've been extremely busy. We've been all over the place. I have another new office that I set up. You've been flying all over the world, it seems like. You're in Seattle, now you're in Southern California, you're in Chicago, you're in Miami. You're all over the place, just as I am. And so it's difficult at times to stay focused because there's so many different things. And plus, last night I had to do some continuing education, and I was teaching last night. So yesterday even Sundays become blistering, if you will, when it comes. So tell me about staying focused. How do you stay focused when you have a million things that are going on?
Yeah, that's a great question. And look, no matter who you are, we all have different things we're juggling, whether you have kids or not, you're a business owner, or you just work for somebody. There's always so many things that are going on. So there's a few ways that I stay focused. One, we've talked about this before, but I think it's very important. I get organized at the beginning of the week. So every Sunday, I map out the week. What are the things that are important? So first of all, I think it's important that every month you're looking at your 30-day plan, right? What are my goals for the month? And then you break that down each week. So yesterday was Sunday. I thought about, okay, what are the key things that I need to get done this week that align with my objectives and my goals for the month, right? And for the year, but for the month more specifically. And so it's really important to identify each day, what are my heavy hitter things that needs to get done? And no kidding, non-negotiables. These are the tasks that I will get done for the day. And then the rest of it, you just kind of schedule in as you can. And what I find is people get so stressed out because they have all of these things that they're trying to juggle instead of focusing on the day in front of them, right? So for example, people get stressed because they're thinking about a wide variety of tasks that have to get done over the next week or 2 weeks or 3. Well, schedule it out, figure out when are you going to do these things, and then don't worry about that thing until that day. And what that does is it frees your mind up. It frees up some negative energy into positive energy, hopefully, because you're staying present on what needs to get done today. You're not worrying about tomorrow or the next day. You're remaining in the present. We talk about being fully present. Well, part of that is knowing what is it that you're trying to accomplish each day, and then giving all of your energy, your effort, your time, being mentally locked into those specific things, and the other things can wait.
I think that's important. Looking at your goals, setting your goals, and having those non-negotiables, sitting down on a Sunday night, Saturday, whatever that is for you, and planning out your week and then work your plan. It's about being organized, right? Yes. You and I are all over the place. You're flying, you've got businesses that are going on, and you have obligations that are going on. And if you're not organized during this time, it can be very difficult. I have multiple offices throughout all over now. It's just all over the place right now. And we go into offices, we build them up, and then we sell them. And we have our core offices. We just opened up another core office. And if you're not organized, and if you don't have your eye on the prize, and if you don't have your goals, it's easily be distracted because number one, there's just so much going on. Where do you go? Which office do you want to do first, and what project, right? Do you want to do first? So it's extremely important to stay organized during this time. And if you don't have that plan during the week, you can really go off. Because I know, Jen, you got like 5 million things going on. I think I have 5 million too that are going on. And then you add in a family, it even complicates it even more, right?
Right. Yeah. And something else that I think is very important. It's one thing to get organized. Another piece of that is the discipline to say no to the things that are trying to check in on you for that day, trying to get your time when those things don't serve the purpose of what you're trying to do for the day. So a couple things that I want to share there. One, I mean, most of us have a smartphone, right, where we've got all kinds of apps notifying us. Some of us are on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or whatever platforms, and we're getting these notifications, right? Such and such sent you a message. Somebody commented on your post, whatever it is. Well, the natural reaction is when you see those notifications, let me go look, let me go respond. What you're doing when you do that is you are checking into something else, and you're taking your energy and your time away from whatever it was that you were working on. So for me, I don't look at those notifications. If I'm in the zone, I'm working on something, those notifications, they can go off all day long. I'm not going to look at them because I'm busy doing something, and I'm not willing to give my time to that thing right now. And people say you can disable your notifications or turn them off. Sometimes I do that. You can go on do not disturb mode, but sometimes I have my notifications on, I have my phone, the screen is up so I can see if something comes in. I may be working and I see somebody sends me a message. I'm like, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm very aware. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to check in with that, because I know if I do that, what's going to happen? They're going to write back, and then you're going to spend 10, 15, 20 minutes going back and forth. And before you know, you're like, oh crap, it's noon. What happened? I haven't gotten this stuff done. So I think it's really important to be aware of what you're giving your time to. It's not just about the tasks that you have planned. It's about when other people are sending you an email, sending you a notification. Look at the subject of the email. Is that something I need to read right now, or can I come back to that later? Because sometimes I feel like, especially in the corporate world, when I was in the corporate world and I heard people say things like this, like just don't check your emails, I was like, how can I not check my emails? I'm going to get in trouble if I don't. I mean, now as an entrepreneur, I control all my whole schedule. But for those that don't have that, you can still apply this principle and be selective on what you choose to respond to right away, and qualify, okay, these other emails, I'll get to them when I'm done with X, because X is the priority and I have to get this done. So whether you're an entrepreneur or not, there are ways to use this no principle, right? And give your time to the right things when you need to give it to those. And then as you have other time, you can focus on the things that might not be as much of a priority.
I think that's extremely important. And being aware and saying no sometimes is what's needed. And you have to stay focused in on what you can do. And sometimes I'll say to a family member or a friend, let me call you later. Can I call you at 8:00 tonight? Or can I call you at lunch? And that leads me, another aspect of this is communication. How do you stay focused? Is communication. Now, you and I, we communicate multiple times during the week. Sometimes I send you a joke. Sometimes you send me a joke, right? To break up the day. But the issue is that when we weren't going to do a couple of weeks because we were so busy, we were in communication with each other. We were making sure we understood each other. So it's important, especially if you have a significant other, okay, where they're involved in this journey of entrepreneurship. And if you're not communicating with them, listen, you know what? I can't talk about, children right now because I have meetings and I have appointments and I have all of that stuff. Can we pick it up, a little bit later on? Is that okay? Is there something that we need to make a decision? Oh, my son James needs to figure out, where he's playing hockey, and we have a 12 o'clock, deadline. If not, he's not going to play hockey next year. Okay, so let's take a look at that right away and let's go through it. And then not only that communication, but being able to stay focused and sift through the nonsense and stay on topic, if you will, right? Especially staying on topic. If you're on topic, you can get things done a lot quicker, especially when it's not business related, because sometimes when you're with business, it kind of goes all over the place, right?
Yep, exactly. Yes. And I think the important thing that you mentioned is communication. That's important in all aspects, with family, with other business partners, with people that you work with, if you're in the corporate setting. Communicating what the priorities are or what you need to focus on and why is important. And a couple of thoughts come to mind. One, I was going to mention in the corporate setting. So when I do a lot of talks in corporate environments, I talk about this principle of no and how you can use it effectively. And people will always try to throw tasks over the wall to you, right? Like, hey, I need you to do this. Oh, and by the way, I need it right now, always right now. Well, do you really need it right now, or can you wait till tomorrow, right? Or so qualifying, like, is it really the priority? Is it a want versus a need? And by having that conversation, you can talk through with that person, say, look, I'm really busy focusing on X, Y, Z today, but I can get to you by Friday. Will that work? And if it won't work, then you have that conversation, right? But that communication is important, so you guys can make sure that you're on the same page. And that way you're not adding more stress to your plate because you're trying to juggle everything that everybody needs to get done supposedly today. So I think it's important to qualify, when does someone need to get that done? But even when it comes to your partner, right, and the family, if you have a chore or a task or something that has to get done, if you're super locked into something, communicate that to your kids, to your spouse, whatever. Do we need to get this done today? Hey, I'm really busy. Can I do it tomorrow? Right? Whatever it is. So I think communication is important for those reasons too. And I think I'll just share with my own personal life. I mean, I've got we were talking before, I'm like, hey, I've got a lot of stuff I'm under the gun to get done right now. And so today is a busy, locked in day for me. I will not be on my phone. I will not be checking things much. I've seen people texting me. I'm like, I'll get to you when I can. But tomorrow is my son's birthday. And the day after, my daughter has her graduation from San Diego State. So those are my priorities for tomorrow and Wednesday. So I communicated with my kids. I said, hey, I am going to be locked in to work. I have to get these things done today. But you know what? Tomorrow and Wednesday, my focus is on my family. When I'm being fully present with them for those days. But to be able to do that, I've communicated, okay, Monday is all about business, right? And I'll give you the time and the attention that you deserve tomorrow and Wednesday.
Right. And I find that interesting, because I was writing down qualify priorities, because sometimes when you're in a corporate setting, somebody else's fire may not be your fire. And when you're an entrepreneur, somebody else's fire may not be your fire in addition to. So they're going to have to learn how to handle their time and time management, which is that's another aspect of this, of what we're saying is time management. It goes right along with communication. And you know what, Jen, you know what my son says to me when he gets home? He goes, Dad, tell me what your meetings are for the rest of the day. Very cool. Right. And I looked at him and I said, why do you want to know? He goes, well, because he has a tendency to come in and, he wants to tell me about his day, and he wants to tell me what's going on and so forth and so on. So, I'll say I'm free between this time and this time. And, he'll go, okay. He goes, I'll be back during that time. Because he likes to come in, in the summertime when we're doing this, you'll see him come in. All right. Like your daughter needed a hug a couple of weeks ago. My son's going to come in at the age of 13 at the 160 pounds, hulking creature. Dad, I need a hug. So, So, he understands that. And I'll say to him, when do you need to study? What is it that you need to study? So that I don't bother you saying, hey, let's go throw the baseball, or let's go shoot some hoops. Let's go work out with some weights and so forth. So that I'm teaching him how to be that entrepreneur. It's difficult in a family setting to be an entrepreneur, because if you have things that need to get done around the house, like, we have there's a big old patio, in the back, and I power washed, and it took a couple of days because I would spend a couple hours one day, then a couple hours the other day, and then a third day to sand and to cement and all of that stuff like that. That took another 3 hours. I wouldn't have 8 hours in a day, one day total, to do all of that. So that needs to be communicated. So at least the project of the house gets done and you're able to work. Because one of the things about being an entrepreneur is Saturday is not Saturday in the traditional sense. There's neither is Sunday, right?
Correct. Yeah, there's no weekend when you're an entrepreneur. It's 24/7. Well, I say 24/7, but it's not necessarily hustle, hustle, hustle all the time, right? But I mean, you are on every day. There's no weekend, but you can control your schedule. So there's some flexibility and freedom there. But it isn't like, oh my gosh, I look forward to the weekend every weekend because that's my off time. That's not how it works as an entrepreneur.
No, I mean, I'm still up early in the morning on a Saturday and a Sunday, and I'm doing work, and of course, I may not have telehealth that day, or sometimes I do. It really depends. And so I do try to spend time, and I don't want to say that in a negative way, because I do spend a lot of time with the family. It's just that there are aspects of that weekend that I need, like a Saturday or a Sunday, to plan the next week or the following weeks, and seeing what meetings I have, so that it's one of those situations where you have to be, present, not only with the family, but also with the with the business. And what else do I find for me in staying focused is having a lot of energy and having good health, to be honest with you. Right? Let's discuss this. I mean, getting an appropriate amount of sleep. Sometimes we don't, right, Jen? Sometimes we don't. I know that this is your 5th cup of coffee and you're falling asleep.
I have one cup of coffee a day.
But having good health in order to stay focused and in order to compete during the course of the day is important. Proper hydration, drinking enough water, getting enough sleep. I mean, if you're eating fast food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you're going to crash, right, Jen? And you're not going to be able to stay focused.
Absolutely. What you put into your body will drive the output that you have, right? And so you have to take care of yourself. And we've talked about self-care before. I mean, I do drink a cup of coffee, but I have 1 cup. I make sure that I eat right. Hydration is important, and sleep. So many people skimp on sleep, and it is so important. Your body needs to recharge. Your mind needs to recharge. And so for me, I mean, I make it a priority to try to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep at least 5 times a week, if not more. Do I get it all the time? No. I mean, look, life happens. It's impossible, right? I mean, it's not impossible, but it's impractical with everything I'm juggling. But I do try to get it, like I said, at least 5 hours a week, because it is such an important part to being able to be productive, to perform at your best. You need that rest.
And it's interesting because as you're talking, I'm thinking of when you're being organized and you're strategizing your day, are you productive between 9 and 11 at night, or are you more productive early in the morning between 5 and 7? So if you're not productive between 9 and to 11 at night, I'm winding down my day around 9 o'clock. Generally around 9:30, I'm in bed. And then anywhere between 4:30 and 5:30, I'm up, and I'm refreshed enough to get up, and I go through my morning routine, and I start my day like I did today. And your morning routine is also very important to stay focused, because once I'm off my morning routine, although it happens, and you have to be mature enough in order to in order to deal with any of those issues that come up during the course of a day. And we're involved in different businesses. So it could be 5:30 our time in the morning, and it could be, at 10 o'clock in the morning someplace else, and it needs our attention. So you may have a plan, but sometimes that plan is changed and you need to pivot. But there's some basics. I get up, my dog gets up, I feed my dog, I take him for his walk. He's happy. My son is up. I'm ready, I'm either at the computer, I'm doing work, or I'm getting ready to go to the office to see patients, or whatever that is, whatever meetings I have during the day. So that's important too, is to figure out what it is and where you can be productive.
Yes.
9 to 11, if I'm not that productive, and if I go downstairs from my home office and I put on that TV, I'm up till 1 o'clock, and that's not going to be good, because that could be very relaxing to me, depending upon what type of movie. And sometimes I do like to watch a movie, and sometimes you can indulge into those types of things, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with, watching your favorite show or checking out from work to just take time for you. I think the key is moderation, right? Just like with anything else, and awareness, like being aware of how much time you're spending on these other things that aren't really adding a ton of value to what you are trying to accomplish. Now, when I say that, there's nothing wrong with entertainment, right? There's nothing wrong with doing things. So it's just a matter of making sure you're balancing and understanding how much time you're giving to those type of activities. And if you're going to give those time to those activities, then how do you make it up in productivity, or what you shift in the rest of your hours, so that you can get closer to whatever business objectives, personal goals you're trying to work on.
And it's important to have a little bit of a downtime too. And what I like to do is I like to pick up your book, move the ball, and I'll read it. And there's nothing wrong with being in bed, when you're reading, and it kind of soothes my mind. It gives me ideas, because when you're reading, it gives you ideas, right? It makes you think more, and you find solutions. Or if I'm watching TV, I'm kind of watching entrepreneurial movies anyway. My new favorite is Founder, the Ray Kroc story. So I'll watch that, or an oldie but a goodie is Happiness. I love that story. Where you overcome. So it's important to do that on occasion.
Absolutely.
Any other ideas on how you stay focused?
So let's recap. We talked about the getting organized.
Organized,
right? We talked
No.
about what? No.
saying no.
Right.
Communication.
The routine is important. I think it's important for people to understand what works for them and what doesn't work for them, because we're all different. There is no magic formula for there are things that you can do, don't get me wrong, but there's no okay, you have to wake up at 4:30. You have to wake up at 5, right? Like my view is get enough sleep, wake up when you are ready to wake up, and you just get in your morning routine, whatever that is. I mean, there's some things that I do, but everyone's got different things that are going to get them going. Nutrition, diet is important. Exercise, time management. But as far as what time you go to bed, what time you wake up, how you spend your day, you got to figure that out, what works best for you. Some people want to do their workout at lunchtime. Do your thing. You don't have to do it at 8 a.m. or 6 a.m. or 10 p.m. Figure out what's going to work best for you, your schedule, your time, your commitments, right, and make it work and stick to it.
That's what we were saying. One of the aspects is being aware. Every day is different. Today on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, I drive my son and his buddies that are around in the neighborhood to school. So I don't get to work out until a little bit later on, 4 or 5 o'clock, which is okay. I don't mind that. Now, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, I'm up, and I can work out earlier in the morning, and it's a lot better. So, I'm happy when it comes to that. And don't be upset at yourself, because this takes time, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, especially if you're trying to introduce change, that doesn't always happen overnight, right? And they talk about how long it takes to form a new habit and all that stuff. So, I mean, give yourself credit for the small things that you're doing to make those improvements. When you continually do that, couple things. One, you're going to continue to gain momentum and make more change and see more progress, but also you're feeling good about it because you are taking the time to recognize, hey, you know what, I took that step today, right? This is a new thing for me. So give yourself the credit you deserve for doing those things.
Right. Overcome that fear. And if you have one victory in a day and you start moving the ball, it's a lot better, right? And
Yes.
then you'll gain confidence in order to move to the second aspect of the day. And everybody has a different tolerance to that, because being an entrepreneur, and I've been saying this a lot, and I've always said this, it's how comfortable you are being uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Because being an entrepreneur for a lot of people can be uncomfortable. For me and for you, we've just been doing it for such a long time, very comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
And just keep moving the ball forward. So, Jenn, we're almost done today. So tell me, what is your favorite TV show that you like to just zone away?
That's a great question. I don't watch a lot of TV.
Right.
However, if I am gonna, and I don't watch a lot of live TV, but if there is a show that is kind of like my go-to when I need to be energized, it's Ballers. I have watched the entire series multiple times and I come back to it. Because for me, I mean, if you've been watching us, I'm a sports person, that's kind of my thing. And the journey of the Rock's character and his business partner through season one, trying to figure it out to when they're big time ballers. It's just it's a great cast for one. Fantastic cast. The storyline I love. Some of it's a little bit Hollywoodized, of course. That's entertainment, but that's my thing. I really do enjoy watching those episodes. I've come to know members of the cast of the show, and it's been, for me, that's been my thing, especially as an entrepreneur and going through that uncomfortability and the uncertainty. Because that's the other thing I think is an entrepreneur, there's a lot more uncertainty in your life than if you're working in a well-established corporate place. If you're in a startup, okay, there's a lot of uncertainty there, right? But if you're not in a startup environment and you're in some growing business, mature business, cash cow business, whatever, the uncertainty is a lot different. Even if you are facing unknowns because of COVID and adjusting and stuff, it's still very, very different. Because at the end of the day, you still have a paycheck, right? Every 2 weeks or the first and the 15th of the month or whatever your pay cycle is, you're still getting paid. So your livelihood, is taken care of. Whereas in the entrepreneur world, you're still every day you're figuring out, how am I going to make stuff happen so that I can continue to bring in the revenue.
Right. And the more you do in the entrepreneurial realm, the more confidence you will have.
Yes.
So we just opened up an office in Manalapan, New Jersey, and the partner looked at me, Dr. Steve, and he said to me, something to the effect, is this going to work? Is it going to? I looked at him and I said, it's going to work. And it's just one of those been there, done that type of attitudes. And I communicated to him that this is my favorite part of being an entrepreneur, is creating something out of nothing. To me, that is true entrepreneurship. And it's something that I love to do. And it's something that I'm very comfortable in doing. So when we get off today, I'll be working on that office. So I'm looking forward to it. It's all good. So any other thoughts before we go today, Jenn, Attorney Jenn?
I do not think so. We've kind of covered a lot, so I think we'll call it good. With that, we'll save some for next time.
We'll save some for next time. So how can individuals contact you? A, to purchase your book. B, to hire you on as a mentor. And C, about your podcast. Those are a lot of things, though, A, B, and C.
Yes. Well, the easiest way is just search the hashtag move the ball. Type that in Google and you should find me. But the book you can get on Amazon. You can get it on Audible as an audiobook version. The podcast, if you go to movetheballpodcast.com, all the episodes are on. New episodes drop today with former NFL player Tyrone Hughes. Tyrone played for a couple teams, including the New Orleans Saints, where he was inducted into the New Orleans Saints Hall of Fame, by the way. So he has a phenomenal story that he shares and some great lessons. And then to connect with me, you can go to, if you go to movetheballpodcast.com, that'll take you to my website. So all my contact info is there. Would love to talk about how I can help you or your team to move the ball forward.
Excellent. And I'm Dr. Dan. You can find my podcast at Destination Health. We just had on Dr. Charles Williams. He is a world champion bodybuilder. He's got a PhD in neuropsychology. We're doing research on traumatic brain injury, and I'll talk to you about that offline. You can find me in Newark, New Jersey at Suburban Wellness Group, 973-483-2277. I got too many offices. Westfield, 908-203-4200. Woodbridge, New Jersey, 732-596-0333. And in Manalapan, New Jersey, just opened up, 732-577-9600. I got to be a doctor to remember all of these numbers. So, Jen, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Missed you over the last couple of weeks. We're back in action. We've been busy, but we'll be back next week. So I want to thank everybody for listening today. If you have any questions, put them in the comments section and we'll pick it up next week. And we'll start off with that. Until then, move the ball and we'll see you next week. Take care.
Bye, everybody.